can hit into it, but that's okay. Well, I know that you guys are all dance majors or minors and so forth, and I was asked today to talk about some technology that you could potentially use. And how many folks? I mean, I guess you guys all use music pretty much to dance to, right? And I know that musicians, we think in measures. You guys all think in beats usually, and sometimes you get some music that you just can't quite. It's too long or too short, or you want to combine things together. And how many folks have done some editing before? Awesome. What programs are you guys using?
My brother did it for me.
Okay.
Like, I watched it.
Do you know what programs he was using?
No, but it's something that goes on a power book.
Okay, so it might be GarageBand and so forth. Well, I'm going to show you. I think I'll start off with two programs. One is to get this music into your computer, and then one's to edit it. And the good thing is that both of these pieces of software are free, so you can download these off the internet. They work on the Mac and PC. Anybody Linux in here? What's Linux? Okay, so then probably not. Let's start off with iTunes, and the resolution on this, what you guys are seeing up there, is a little bit. You can't quite see everything as clear as I'd hope, but I think we'll get the idea of what's going on. So basically, I'm going to show you how to what they call rip a CD. So I'm just going to take a CD and put it into my computer. And if I was on the internet here, you could actually see the. You can go on the internet to download the database. There's this thing called CDDB database, the CD database, and people actually load up things. So like when this would pop up, it'd go on the internet, and if for some reason if it doesn't do it automatically, you can go under, was it advanced? Yeah, and get CD track names in iTunes. But it should do it. If you're on the internet, it does it automatically. And so if I audition here, and I know my little speakers here were. So I can go through here and audition what I want. Okay. So what I can do when you first get iTunes, you need to come under. It's usually under File on a PC, but on a Mac it's under Preferences here. And you hit on Advanced, and there's going to be a setting on here that's called Importing, and you can import in various ways here. And let me explain a little bit about these different ways. MP3 you probably at least all heard of. You probably all have MP3 players, or at least know people that have MP3 players. So it can rip this down to an MP3. If you want something that sounds exactly like your CD, you can encode it as a wave. And I won't go into an explanation of how MP3s work totally, but basically what it does, MP3 does, is what's called a lossy compression system, which means you lose information. And it's roughly, if you do like a 128 kilobit MP3 off of a standard WAV file, it's roughly 1/8 to 1/10 the size. So if every stereo minute is 10 megs, so like a 3-minute song is going to be 30 megs. So if it's 1/10 the size, it's going to be a 3 meg file. And that means it's a lot smaller to carry around to send to the internet, and that's why people download. You can download MP3s a lot faster than you can a full-size WAV file. You do, because it is a lossy compression system. That means that you will potentially lose some fidelity on it. And what it does is this: it uses algorithms that basically says when this our ears work this way. It's like we hear something really loud and high. We hear the high parts, but we don't hear the in between, the middle parts that much. So what it does with this, with the algorithm, it takes out the parts in the middle that we're not going to hear anyways, and takes that part out. So it's basically taking 90% of the information and throwing it away in a lot of ways. And there's other tricks as well. So if you want something that sounds exactly like the CD, pick a wave encoder, all right? And there's going to be no fidelity loss. just for your own information, if you do want to do an MP3 for whatever reason, and you do like 192 to 320 kilobits, I can't hardly tell the difference between 320 kilobits. It's a lot. It's smaller than an MP3. I mean, than a WAV file, but it's not as small as 128 kilobits. A lot of times I use these two here for the 60 and 192 for decent fidelity sound versus size. So if I don't have a lot of space on the hard drive or my MP3 player, I'll use either 160 or 192. All right, but today we'll go ahead and use WAV to rip it. And I'll hit OK. And just because I like to repeat things, I'll show you that one more time. Find the preferences. Under PC it's under File, but on the Mac it's Preferences. And instead of being, that's the default, the AACC. Pull down to WAV and then hit OK. And I usually turn off play songs while I'm importing, just so I don't hear it. And now I can either import the whole CD by hitting this button over here. I know it's a little bit hard to see up there. Or I can right click on a PC or on a Mac. I can hold down the control and click on it and say convert section to WAV. Another way of doing it is I click on it under Advanced, convert section to WAV, and that might be an easier way to remember how to do that. So right now I'm clicked on it, and you can see the little convert icon pop up. And so this is importing this track. And this is the exciting part of the show, watching it rip. And then what's happening right now is actually what they call ripping the CD, ripping a track off the CD so the computer can understand it. CDs were made, there's Red Book CD compliant, and basically it's information that the computer can play back as audio, but you can't pull the file off the CD without doing some type of conversion, and this is the conversion that we're doing. And you hear that little sound there, and I click up here in the library, and there it is, track 1. And if I want to, I can click on there and give it a name. And if I want to give it an artist, I can also go type in there. Let's just say it's Bach. And so forth. So I can go give it, I can type this in. Again, if you're on the internet, it will automatically find this, any commercial CD you're going to find that you're going to buy, somebody's typed in there and uploaded it to the database. So you don't have to type that in. So there it is right there. So now I got that as my as a WAV file. Now I can do some cool things with it. I'll come back to iTunes a little bit later on and show you something. But basically what I can do now, let me pull it up so you can see that. I can drag this right here to my desktop. See a little plus thing? So what I did was I clicked on whatever I want. I click on it and then let up there, and it's going to copy that file there. So here's the file that I ripped off the CD. And I'm going to let up there, and you see it. It's going to be right there instead of broke WAV file. So it's copying that to my desktop. And now I can quit iTunes for right now. And there it is. So the program we're going to use now is going to be Audacity. And, whoops, wrong one. Audacity is a really cool program, and I like it a lot because it's free. And I'm a big fan of free stuff. And when you all become are a lot of you guys planning to become educators, going to the public schools and teach? Well, there's never enough money. There's never for everything, and you can find some free software. And the neat thing about Audacity, it will work on a slower computer, like a Pentium 2 computer, a Pentium 3 computer for sure. So I'm sure everybody in here, does everybody have a computer in here? You guys have laptops? Some of y'all have laptops, some of you don't. Well, the cool thing about laptops is that you can carry this to your classroom or your studio, and you can play back music too. So you don't have to necessarily carry, instead of carrying 30 CDs, you can rip them to your hard drive and just carry the computer to your studio with you and hook it up to your sound source. So that's another aspect of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go under Open, and I'm going to go find my file, and so it's going to be on the desktop. And there it is right there, Broke Wave. I hit Open, and it's going to import that. And once it's up there, I can do a lot of really cool things. One is that you can visually see what's going on, and I can hit these plus or minus to make it smaller or bigger, and I can make the WAV file where I can actually go in there and so small that you can actually can't hardly see much, nothing in there. So here is it's about a little under 4 minutes in here long, and if I play it back. And I know it's really soft. But let's say that I have, well, let me ask you guys, what would be some possible things that you want to edit from a song? What would you want to do to this file? What's some scenarios that you guys would need? How about length? Yes.
I was going to say, lots of times, like in competitions, it can't be more than 2 minutes.
So I need 2 minutes of music, right? All right, let's do that then. Probably the easiest bet is that I'll find right there is 2 minutes, and I can just highlight it, hit delete on the typewriter, and now it's down to 2 minutes. And just to make it sound a little bit cooler, at the end I'm going to highlight this here, Effect, Fade Out. So we'll listen to the last part there. So it does a nice studio fade there at the end. Okay. What's some other scenarios? Let me undo those things. What's another scenario that you guys would need to edit music with?
Speed it up.
Speed it up? All right. Let's pick a minute. Well, let's do like 30-second section of this. Let's see if I was going to speed it up. Change tempo. Let's bring it up 10% faster. Let's see. I can preview it. Well, let me just hit OK and we'll listen to it. Is that faster? And do tempo change, and then just the opposite if I want to. I could slow it down. Let's slow it down 30%. And it's going to make the track, should make the track longer. Okay. So let's change the tempo, so I can do that for the whole track if I wanted to, or just a section of it. What's another potential thing that you would want to do with a file?
How do they put two pieces of music together?
Ah, that's the big question, right? All right, let's do that. Let me find something like a. See if I got. I'll take that. And you can do the same thing here with 30 pieces if you wanted to, the same process of it. So here's another piece. So let's say I want to take the intro to this, and I'm just going to highlight it, edit, copy. Come over to the original piece of music. Let's say I want that to be the intro. And put the cursor where I want it. I can use the the arrows to go up and down, or I can just put the cursor anywhere I want to put it at. I'll just put it there at the beginning. And then edit, paste. And now I got that section of music there, and then we go into that broke piece there. And just let's see what I can do just by looking at it. And this way I can see the file a little bit easier, where I can see where cuts are at and whatnot. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do a little fade out here. And I'll get to the music a little bit faster right there. And then I'll do a little fade in. Okay. So that same concept you can do with 5, 10, 30 tracks if you wanted to. And that's probably one of the bigger things you want to do. You want to do maybe an A section for this one song and an A section of another song, and you splice them together, and that's how you do it. And after you experiment around with this, you get pretty good at seeing where things begin and end at on there. Is there some other scenarios that you can see that you would want to edit files with?
Like, isn't there a way you can kind of overlap them and hear them at the same time? Like if you
can do a crossfade?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't know if there, I mean,
sure.
maybe there was.
Instead of putting my track there, I can just kind of click here, and I'm gonna hit paste, and that was that same information beforehand.
Right.
And I'll highlight that information there, get rid of that, and all we can do is, I guess I'll fade out here. I think what you're talking about is what's called crossfade. So I'll fade out, and then I'll highlight this area here to fade into. And DJs do this a lot. Let's hear how this sounds. Maybe that section is that's like 30 seconds of music, so that's a little bit long, but so that's a standard crossfade. Okay. Any other things you think you might want to do with files? Yes, ma'am.
Well, actually, I have a question. That second piece of music, did you just bring it down?
Well, it was in the memory that I copied from the other one. So I'll just copy this area here, and I'll say copy, and I'll go back to the other file. And as long as I don't have it clicked on a track, like I'll just click down here at the bottom, and I hit paste. It's going to paste it onto another track.
Oh, okay.
And so forth. And if I don't like it, I can hit delete here. If I want to move it up or down, I can move the track up or down also here as well. Out here to the side is, do you guys fool around with panning much? You know what panning is? I'm sure you guys. But that is left to right, panning. And you hear like that. I don't know if you guys, you may use some of that sometimes or not. But out here to the side, I can control the panning that left to right. So let's say I want the first track to be all the way to the left, and then it's going to crossfade into the right. For the other track, I can put the other track on that, on all the way to the right there. And I'd play it, but you really can't, you wouldn't be able to hear it because you're not in the center of it. So that's another potential thing. Okay. Well, let me show you something else that you can do with this that you may or may not want to do. Any of y'all musicians in here? Any of y'all sing or play? Some of y'all are? Okay. Well, this is also a recorder, a tape recorder, in a lot of ways. And if I want to, let's see if I got my beats right. 3, 2. And if I want to, I got a little microphone on my laptop, and I can say, normally I'd have my headphones on so I won't get what's called a bleed through, but I'll just do that today. And let's see. One, two, three, four. So if you want to make a track for some of your students and have your voice on top of it, and I can increase the volume on it a couple of dB, and I'm getting the bleed through because I don't have headphones on. 1, 2, 3. So I could add my voice to it for counting or instruction or some other potential things that you could do. You guys have any applications you could use that for? I'm not a dancer, so I'm not sure. Okay, can you think of, yes ma'am? Can you think of some?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Like how you would use it?
Yes ma'am.
Like if you were teaching a routine and you needed, you could give them a piece of music that had, instructions on it for them to follow, so they would remember each time.
So
something like that.
left foot now.
Right. I've heard that before.
And if you teach in public school, sometimes you might have to be away on a session, or you might be absent one day. Well, you can go through here and just give that to the substitute, and they could have you be there to teach, even though you're not there. Or you could burn these for CDs and give them to your students to take home, and have them dance to that as well. Any other ideas what you could do with some voiceover? All this stuff I'm sure is common sense, and me not being a dancer, I'm just, I know how to use this tech stuff really well, but I value your input on what you can do with some of these things. Let me record me talking for a second. Yes, sir.
With Audacity, can you add? Does it have tracks you can add? You may have done this a moment ago. Create music, I guess, is what I'm asking.
You can't. Audacity is only a wave editor. You can create music by recording it live. Like let's say if I had some claves or something like that, I could record that while it's playing. So in one aspect, let's make a new file just for grins. And let's say I wanted to make my own. I remember Libby was saying that, like, if you're trying to do some modern dance, if you're trying to find something in 5 going to 7, or 3 going into 13 or whatever, it's hard to find music that fits that specifically. But every one of y'all, even you guys don't think you're musicians, you all are musicians. You all have hands. You all can pat, clap, and stomp, and you can do a lot of really cool things just with body percussion. And hopefully you all have a good sense of time. I'm assuming that if you're dancers, you have a sense of where the beat's at and where time is at. So I'll just make this is really, I didn't even think about this until a second ago. Let's see what I can make with this body percussion. Okay, and then I'll do another track that's kind of contrasting to that. Let's see if I can get something. That's a different timbre. And I'll use, did you guys ever watch Seinfeld? All the music was someone's voice. Boom, 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 boom. So you could use your voice if you needed to do like a bass line if you wanted to. And even if you're not the greatest singer in the world, let's see what I can do. Boom, 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 boom. And basically, if I wanted to go through and edit it some, I can do a fade in, fade out if I wanted to. I can go file, either export as an MP3 file or as a WAV file, and we'll just say that this is a, and we'll just call that, I'll save it to the desktop. And there you are. You made a piece of body percussion music just with that. And most of the computers you have will have a microphone. If not, you can pick one up, at $10 range, probably at a local computer store, or big store out there. Anybody see some ideas for this? Yeah. One other thing, if you're going to be educators as well, if you don't think you have musical ability, guess what? I bet you got students that want to make beats. That will either playing in band or something other. They could bring in some percussion instruments. They could play that thing. Oh, also this. What if you have? I know you guys often work with musicians as well. What if they can't come to a rehearsal? But you can carry your laptop to the rehearsal and you can record their performance, and then you could use that as practice. And then when you guys did the real performance, you'd actually have them playing when you guys are rehearsing. So that's another idea that you can do. Any other thoughts about recording live audio? There's probably a whole lot more things I'm not thinking about for dance, just because I'm not a dancer. But those are some.
Play this back for us.
Sure. I mean, it's not my best work, but. And normally I would have headphones on to keep from there what's called bleed through. What bleed through is that when I'm recording one track, when it's playing back, I can hear it as I'm saying a new track on top of it. But if I have the headphones on, I'm only hearing that in my ears, and then I have a separate track for that by itself. So normally I'd record this with the headphones on after the first track. Okay. Oh, good. Before I leave Audacity 100%, okay, and actually that was one other thing I want to do. Let's say, let me go back to the other track, because this happens in the real world. Let me just talk on top of this for a second. What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and in moving, how expressed and admirable. Okay. So that's just me talking. Does anybody know where that's from? Oh, thank you. And let's say that I had a piece of music that had a bad word in it, and that's often a case that you get a piece of music, and it's got a bad word in it, and if you're dealing with public schools, you can't have that. So the one way I've learned of doing it is let's say I find a word, and if I highlight it. And it's picking up the percussion from the other bleed through. Let me do this one more time, because I don't need it here. I can mute these tracks, and that way I'll just hear my voice for right now. Normally you wouldn't do this, but I'll do. Let's see. What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how expressed and admirable. All right. So let's say that one of those words is a bad word. So I'll crank that up a little bit. Let me get a little closer to the mic, because I need to have a good strong waveform. What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason. Let's say noble is a bad word. Okay. So again, I can use these little magnifying glasses to get in and out, and you can see the waveform pretty good there. And I can highlight a section of it and hit the space. So there's how there. So see, there's noble right there. So that's the first part. That's the end part. Noble. And what I can do is this. I find this works the best because you don't want to drop a beat, especially if you're dancing to it, right? So this is what I found that you can do is reverse it. Make it backwards. So if I, or another thing that you could do is you can record a beep into it if you wanted to do that. But for me, I don't like that as much. Another thing that you could do if you have to, let me undo that, undo reverse, is that I could just go here and I can just make it just quiet it out. Fade in, fade out, fade in, fade out, and now it's gone, right? You can't even see it anymore. So if I play it back now, so it's gone like that. Now normally, if you get something that's already onto a stereo file, it's gonna make all the music go away. This is separated, so this was easy for me just to take the voice and do that. But normally you can hear all the music fade away totally. So that's why a lot of times I just hit reverse and make that that way. All right. And again, if I like that, I can go under File, export it either as a WAV file or as an MP3 file, and then you can put that on either your take it to your CD burning program. You guys all burn CDs probably by now? Yeah. 99, I asked that, most people didn't, but by 2006, I think everybody, a $300 computer you can do that on, so it's not an insane piece of technology. So I hopefully all you guys will go download Audacity and play around with it, and that's the big thing, is that you could pay me to do this, and you know, depending on how rich you are, 25 to 50 bucks an hour, probably what I would charge. But if you wanted to do this yourself, and I think it's more beneficial for you, just because it's my time, and I can do this relatively quick, you can do this on your own. I guess you could charge people if you want to do this for somebody else as well. I find that a lot of folks, I don't know how, anybody really technical organized, like they really love the computer a whole lot, use the computer a great deal? No? Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's usually some folks that are really big into technology in every field, and a lot of times you find them out and get them to do some stuff for you. So let me quit Audacity now. Let me say no. No. And there's that little thing I recorded in Audacity. Let me show you GarageBand, which is actually on all these computers here, and this is another way that you can create music. I had to change the resolution to show it on the data projector, so. And I have GarageBand 3, but I think you guys have either GarageBand 1 or 2, but it's same concepts of it. Now let's call it, what's the day? The 23/28/06. Do you guys dance? I guess most of the popular dance that you guys do is in, is it in 4 still most of the time? Most of the time it's in 4. Yeah. That's right. You guys think in beats. I think in measures. Let me see if I can get this to work all the way. Bring that up. So I have to really need to be able to see that bottom part, or else I can't really show you how to loop much. Well. Okay. Let me see. I doesn't like this resolution on here. Okay. Okay, that'll work. All right. Basically, I know y'all can't see it down here, but there's a little eyeball and plus thing, and I don't know if I can pull it up. Yeah, I can pull it up a little bit. There's an eyeball plus and a little scissor edit thing here, and I hit the little eyeball, and they probably call it something else, but this is the loop browser, and all these loops pop up. So if I hit on kits, I come through and find some beats that I like. And most of them are rock or techno type beats. There isn't really a lot of modern dance. So let's say I like that beat there, and I'm just take it, grab a hold of it, and you see the little plus, and it puts it up there. And what was that? I use Zoom. Cool, that'll work. And I put it up here on whatever measure I have, and if I click 50% and higher, say a little loop-ish type thing, it's kind of like that. I can drag it, and I make the loop as long as I want. So let's say I want 8 full measures of that loop, of that beat. Then I'll come down here to the, I'm kind of having to juggle this thing around a lot. Zoom down here at the bottom. Let me find something. Okay, I'll take that, and I'll have that be our B section for right now, just because it really is contrasting to the first one. Let's see. Zoom. Okay, so I'll put this over here on start on measure 9 and do the same thing. I'll loop that to the end of, let's do 8 full measures of that, so that it's going to end on measure, the downbeat is 17. On a Mac, this is pretty standard paradigm. If I click on a track and I hold down Option on the typewriter, on the keyboard, it makes a copy of it. And so now I got an ABA form going right now with that. And if I rewind that, let's listen to at least some of that. And there's a little play. Down here's a little play. Let me bring that up a touch. Let's see. Yeah, down here is the record, rewind, play, fast forward, and loop button. So I'll hit play. Actually, if you hit the space bar, it'll play back, or space bar will stop it also. So I got 8 measures of that. 8 times 4 is what? Then it goes into the B theme. And it's just speed it up a bit. And that. And I think a lot of y'all, it's actually really easy to do a crossfade in really a lot easier than actually in Audacity. Is that I click this little area over here, this little button right here, and the volume track comes up. And I click, I'm going to extend this loop a little the overlap by 1 measure. I'm going to click there, and then pull that down, and I'll put the volume back up where it was. So when we come back to the A section, then I'll do that, and then that. So here's the crossfade, and I click right there, up here, and that. So that's crossfade. It's a standard crossfade, so it's like the smooth transition between a couple ideas. And I can do the same thing at the end here. I'll make that a little bit further out, and I'll have that come in, and I'll have that crossfade out. And actually, I can crossfade out this a little bit more. And there you go. You got some beats going on. But that's just the first part. That's just some of the cool part. I'm gonna hit reset down here. Let me move the keyboard out of the way for right now. And you guys like bass? Who doesn't like bass? So there's got some 80s bass lines going on. I guess you guys were like 3 back then in the 80s. But I remember the 80s. It was a good time. Was anybody not born in the 80s in here? Was at least everybody born in the 80s? Yes. Good. I'm not that old yet. find some cool bass line. It's kind of like going with being a kid in a candy store. There's so many cool things to listen to. Just because I feel like I'm in a techno mood, I'll just use that one. And I'll drag that out. Let's say I want to have 2 measures of or 8 beats without the bass line, and I have that come in, and I'll loop that. And normally for me, I try not to use the same bass line forever, so I'll use that to that, and I'll come down and get another bass line. That's something contrasting. Well, as you guys probably know in music, compare and contrast is like a really important part of music. And you know, does anybody want to dance to the same beat for the whole time that you're dancing? And usually not, because it just gets really boring, right? So I like changing things up as well when I make my beats up here. And I'm always thinking compare and contrast also. I'm always thinking compare and contrast. Let me get that over touch. Just cross fade it out just for brains to see how that sounds. Let's see, we'll do that. I'm going to extend it over a touch. Now, on PC there are programs that do something similar, but this is actually really cool and easy to do on a Mac. So I got a bass line going there. I won't worry about that. Let's add one more. I like synths also. So I put that at the beginning of that. And it's a little loud, so I'll turn it down just a touch. And let's listen to what I got now. Keep the bass in a sense a little bit. That part's a little boring. Maybe add something to it. Okay. So in a relatively short period of time, you can go through here and make some of your own music yourself. And let me add to that one part. You guys like shakers? Who doesn't like shakers? Everybody likes shakers. So I'll add a shaker in there just to give that some contrast there in the middle, in the B section there. Well, you guys see any ideas that you all can use this with? I like always asking that. See if there's some.
Yeah.
What's some potential things that y'all could use this for?
Practice,
Practice. Okay.
like giving them new music to listen to in order to do combinations down the floor.
Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure the rest of y'all do. All this stuff here that comes with GarageBand, it's not copyrighted. It's all you. So you can use any of these samples and loops and make your own music, and you can freely give that to your students if you made it yourself.
Like if you have a movement, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. If you have like a movement that you really wanted to use, like, and you were looking for a specific piece of music that was like in your head that you could really make your own, to what specifies that. dance movement, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And the nice thing is that if you create this yourself, you know, you need 3 minutes of music. You can make exactly 3 minutes of music. You know, if you guys sing, this is only part of it. You can play a live instrument. So if you have a friend that plays guitar or bass, they can record that live in here as well. Or if you do, or you play piano, or you play, just for grins, I'll just show you this something something else. Hit plus, and if you're interested in this, I teach a whole class on how to do this, how to make beats. You probably had some friends that had took it at one point or another. And I just can't see that. Okay. So what I can do if I wanted to is I could play a melody line in myself. And it's a little bit hard to use the typewriter to do that, but I'll see what I can do. It's a little hard to do that. Although on the GarageBand 2 and 3 is that I can actually use the typewriter. If you look at you can see my fingers up here. I can actually use my fingers. And let's see if I can do something with that. And you see, I'm just using like playing 1 minute at a time. So even, you know, if some of you has some musical training in the background, and basically you make music, you write what you like. You know, you make music the way you like. Because I'm sure, like, you make dance movements the way you like as well, and put that together. And the cool thing is, let's say that was awesome. I'm going to say export to iTunes. Another exciting part. Looks like I only put like one of y'all to sleep. That's good. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a headache.
No, that's not you. I get frequent migraines. So.
Oh, okay. Well, let me hide GarageBand for a second. And I'm going to drag in that other track. This is how you can add music to iTunes. That was that thing I did from Audacity, that percussion thing. And I can add that there. Now let's say that these are 2 tracks I want to do for my dance concert that's coming up. Let's see. I'm gonna hit File, New Playlist, and then I'll type in dance just to know that it's dance. And what I can do now is that I can take songs from my library, and I can take that Baroque song and scroll up. Okay, and then I can take that there. And that percussion thing I did in Audacity, and I click on the little dance area here, and I can say, okay, I want the percussion thing first, and the Baroque last, and so forth. And I hit Burn Disk, put a CD in there that's blank, and hit Burn Disk again, and that makes a CD for you to put on your CD player. So it's easy as that to burn a CD in iTunes. So that's pretty easy.
And you can import to your iPod from here as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because it's this there. You can just take it to your iPod. Do y'all? Some of y'all have iPods. A lot of y'all do.
In fact, I know of instructors that, rather than carrying all their CDs around, they carry the iPod, plug it into the system, and use it.
Yeah, and it's becoming more pervasive that way. Even car manufacturers now are making it easy to hook your iPod up to your new car that you're going to buy. So it's just going to get more and more integrated as time goes on. You can buy those little jam box type things to hook it up to as well. Yes, sir.
The only thing the iPod cannot do, and one of the things it can't do, is to vary the pitch, which instructors need. So all they can do is put it into their system. So if there's a way to do that eventually, then make the iPod
So you like to make something a little bit faster, a little bit slower.
right.
What you could do is if you know in advance you can do that, you can take that into Audacity and do that and have 3 tracks of that. So that's a possibility. Yes, ma'am.
The GarageBand program, is that also a free download, or is that?
It comes with a Mac, so you have to purchase a Mac. It's only Mac. If you're interested in some PC type software, Fruity Loops does some things that are similar to it, and then that's a $60 or $80 program. And Acid is another program that does some things similar as well. And I think that's probably around the same price range, $80. Yes, ma'am.
I have a iBook. How much would GarageBand cost?
How old is your iBook?
I got it last year, at the beginning of
Okay,
the summer.
I think it's $80. It might be $50 for a student for educational price. And you may have it on there, just don't know it.
Okay.
If you bought it like last year, I bet you have it on there.
Yeah, I bought it the summer before my freshman year, so
Okay.
not last summer, but the summer before.
You may very well have it on there. And if you have some interest in that, again, not to promote my classes a whole lot, but I do teach a whole class on how to make beats specifically, but you could apply that to your major as well, I'm sure. Even I have folks that take that class that have no musical backgrounds at all, and they're able to make some music at the end of it.
Which class is that?
It's the Intro to Electronic Music class. And one class that if you guys, what I teach differently basically every time is the Intro to Music Technology. And who's ever in the class is the stuff that we talk about. So if I had like 5 people that were in dance, we just talk about dance stuff. But I have people that just want to be producers, so we do producer type stuff. Or people that want to make music videos, or people that want to do their education. So how that class I can change for whoever's in it. We can cover the information that you guys would want. And the only thing bad about that class is the 1-hour class. So a lot of people want to have 3-hour classes. I won't say it's a bad thing. It's cheaper. 3-hour class, so that's a good thing. I know I'm almost done. Just for grants, I'll use that a lot. If I can do this, sometimes I can import stuff into GarageBand. So I could take that WAV file, I think. Well, I just can't quite get my, because I haven't pulled this thing around. But I can add audio tracks into GarageBand. If I could angle this right, I could show you. Maybe. There we go. So if I wanted to, I could have that techno beat go on at the same time as that broke piece of music that I played earlier. It's going to sound horrible, but you can see the concept of it. So, if you want to do a techno intro to some broke music, you could do that as well. And when it's in here, if I double click on it, I can come through and edit the WAV file in GarageBand also. So let's say that I want only the first 30 measures of it. If I highlight down here and double click, I can basically, it makes it where I separate the file and I can hit delete and get rid of the other stuff. So What I plan to do also, just for fun, I'm kind of getting into this podcast and video cast and things. Actually, if you go to my website, I have a 10-minute tutorial. For all this stuff kind of blew over your head, I have a 10-minute tutorial how to use the basics of GarageBand. I plan to do a couple more tutorials as time goes on, and have like 30 minutes of me talking about how to use GarageBand. So I actually saw my blog. I think I posted it last night on my blog. So if you got some interest in that, if you got an iBook or want to refresh your course on something, that would work as well. I guess that's really my dog and pony show for right now. You guys have some questions about technology that I can answer maybe? Yes, ma'am.
If you had a piece of music that had like vocals and as well as the music, could you take it out?
It's not impossible to do. It depends if the vocal is dead center pan. And what happens now, especially in a lot of the music that's out now, it's not a dead center pan. And what you do is you take a track, you copy the track, and then you reverse the track. And what it does, it basically cancels out the middle pan. And so it takes out a lot of the vocals in there, but it's not 100%. Even that's not 100%. And they do have some programs that supposedly do that. It just depends on what it is. It depends if it's a dead center pan, you can do that. If not, you can't. If I was on the internet, and let me see if I got that, because I will show you that. If I got some of my teammate. If you go to the internet and find a song that you like and type in MIDI, and let me look real quick, see if I can find me a MIDI file. All right. I think these are elementary tunes, but that's okay. And basically, I just find a MIDI file. I'll take it into iTunes. I know it sounds horrible. Okay. But once I take the MIDI file into iTunes, I can export it as a WAV file, take it into Audacity. Well, actually, I don't have to do that. Just export it and just export it as a WAV file, then convert a CD from it. So you can get the MIDI files doesn't have a vocal line on it. They don't sound as good as a regular one. Let me see if I can find one that sounds. Let's see, what is that? I don't remember this. Oh, there it is. That's the Brady Bunch thing. Not that you'd ever want to dance to that, but if you did, there's no vocals on that. The sound is not as good as a live sound, but if you just needed something to dance to, and it's kind of karaoke-ish sounding. So it's not. I don't know what you all think about using karaoke type music to dance to, but I guess if you have to have something and it's not quite, I don't know. But that is an option that you could do. If you type in a song and got MIDI, you could find it on the internet, and then you could use that potentially for a track that you want to dance to. Any other questions about technology? Music technology? I think I'm either woke them up or put them to sleep for you.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.